Dr. Heuston is continuing a long legacy at Waterford Institute, a nonprofit in Salt Lake City, started by his father many years ago, who was a pioneer, Dustin Heuston. Look him up in computer-aided instruction in the 70s and 80s, and the quality speaks for itself. And Ben has quite an insight on a lot of things related to education, and he always provides a refreshing perspective. So he's a key part of the mashup that makes up Duster Magic. Ben Heuston.
So, es freut mich, mit Ihnen sprechen zu dürfen. Ich freue mich, dass ich diese Gelegenheit habe. Ich hoffe, dass wir zum Verständnis kommen mögen. Do you ever feel like you're speaking a different language here at Duster Magic? One of the things that I really appreciate about this conference is that Warren is a polyglot. He understands.
Excuse me.
He speaks kid, he speaks geek, he speaks ivory tower, he's got letters behind his name to prove it, and he hasn't lost that sense of wonder. So I have always found Warren willing to embrace things that are outside the normal.
Yay, polyglot.
So I've been really trying to think about what would be most of use to you today as I talk to you. Waterford's been around since '76. We have our software in tens of thousands of classrooms around the U.S. and around the world. We've helped millions of children learn to read, and we have been doing that for a very, very long time. As far as I know, we're the finest educational software for young children. And when I talk about finest, what I mean is in the sense of, for instance, my reading program starts with a child who doesn't know anything about reading and takes that child to be an independent learner. It takes about 3 years for that to happen. And so I am the exact opposite of many of the things that are talked about here, where the design is much more about something very specific, something that can be highly crafted and achieves a very tight purpose, and mine is much more on the systemic side. And so I work oftentimes with schools. We do go into homes, and I'll talk a little bit about that this morning. But we sit back and we say, we're not really making our dent in the universe unless I can see that in sustained learning trajectory gains for children. And for me, when I talk about children learning, I'm not talking about just that moment of excitement or that light going on. I'm talking about trying to find ways to help children learn for life. And what that means is, for me, learning is a lot more like exercise or like dieting. It is something that takes effort. It has to be sustained effort over a long period of time. It needs to be systematic. I know a lot of people talk about play. I agree that play is a wonderful mode of children learning. They do so naturally. But I'm a huge believer in needing to have some sort of structure. We don't just let our children eat whatever they want. We would never do that. We don't let them set their own day schedules. We provide structure, and I believe children crave appropriate structure. And so that's one of the things that we spend a lot of time thinking about. I'm grateful for this conference. Warren mentioned it's break even. That's a new idea. We'll have to try that sometime. We run a conference every April in Salt Lake that tries to pull together anyone who has data. Because the data here are, as Chip mentioned, it's nascent. We're very early on. Even though we've been doing this for 37 years now, the data are still very, very immature. And when you try to get to reasonable amounts of statistical sampling, even that's lacking in most cases. People will talk about an anecdote, but the plural of anecdote is not really data. That doesn't really get you there. And so you need to claw away from family, away from nice little snippets, and you need to get at how does this happen in the broader context? How does that happen when I'm not around? How does that happen when no one's watching? What really happens? So I want to talk just a little bit about a unique program that's actually outside of the school. Many of you who know Waterford will know us from the school. Pearson's been selling us for the past 17 years. We actually have canceled our contract with them, and we're going to be taking it out ourselves starting January 1st. And I know, once again, that's another way of different. Most people's exit strategy is sell to Pearson. We're a nonprofit, and we're walking away from Pearson, just a little bit different. But Utah came to us, the legislature came to us a little while ago, and they have a little bit of an enlightened legislature in the sense that they look at schools as one way to accomplish education for children, but they believe that there are other ways. And they came to us and they said, look, we have this huge problem in Utah. We have a growing Hispanic population. We have a lot of rural kids. We have Native American reservations. We have a lot of children coming to school in kindergarten, and they're not ready to learn. The teacher's going to stand in front and talk in English. We're going to have 3 to 4 kids who only speak Spanish crying in the corner. We're going to have a number of kids getting bored in the back because they already know all this stuff. And it just, how do we solve this? And we don't have the option of simply opening pre-K, because it has come up multiple times before the legislature to try and get our half-day kindergarten expanded to full day, and it's been voted down. Our constituency does not want children outside of the home before kindergarten, and they describe it as tearing the children out of the arms of their mothers. So we are the reddest state, and so there is a really strong sense of children need to be at home with their moms until they start school, and that's the right place for them to be. So what do? And so we sat down and we crafted a very unique program, and we called it Upstart. And Upstart is a program where the child, in the year before he or she goes to kindergarten, and I don't know if you guys have parents that are already redshirting their children, but we certainly have that in Utah. They hold them back because they figure that they'll do better if they're a year older than all the other kids. So we have both 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds in Upstart. I don't know where that arms race is going to end, because if you hold back and everyone else holds back, they're going to hold back twice, or I don't know. We did have one that held back this year, and then since his kid was doing so well, wanted to get into the gifted program. So I mean, you get all this insanity of helicopter parents and stuff. But anyway, the state said, all right, what do we do? So we said, let's take our software, and our software had a very interesting design element to it. When we started building the software, this generation of the software in the early 90s, the clarion call was, let's create something that helps every child learn to read. And so with that modest kind of go forth, the team sat down and they said, well, how are we going to do that? And one of the things that they realized very early on was they couldn't count on there being an engaged and well-resourced teacher for the children that needed them. The children that would need them the most are the children that don't have great teachers, that are kind of suffering from benign neglect. And so how do we work in that scenario? How do we not give ourselves this kind of get-out-of-jail-free card of, this really would have worked if only the teacher would have done what we asked her to? How do we still work without a teacher? And so in order to do that, we had to build self-adapting software. We had to build software that adapted to children, that personalized to children, and that did it without teacher intervention. Now, I want to be very careful here. I'm not talking about throwing teachers out. I'm not talking about ignoring teachers. We have wonderful suites of tools for teachers, things that they can do to enhance the program. And we want great teachers, and when there's a great teacher in the classroom, children learn better. We all know that. It's the common sense that Chip was talking about. We just know that. However, we still have to work when she isn't there. So, since we had created software that could work almost without the structure of a formal classroom, we wondered what that would look like in an unstructured environment, namely in the home, which isn't a formal learning environment. So what we did was we reached out and started recruiting students. We reached out every way we could think of to parents. And we recruited a number of children. For those that didn't have computers, we bought them computers. If they didn't have internet, we bought them internet. We brought in all the parents, we trained the parents, we sent them home, and we gave them a computer adaptive reading. The first year we gave them a computer adaptive reading test online that we had built and that we had nationally normed. And we said, now just let your child do this. It's going to be difficult. You know, the idea is they will top out at some point. They're not going to get everything right. Every child was a genius. Every child was reading close to maximum level. And we thought, all right, next year we're not going to send it into the home. So we learned. Now when the parents come, the parents go into this room and get trained. The children go into this room and take the computer adaptive reading test. But anyway, there were a number of concerns about this scenario from our legislature. One was, we just know the parents are going to take the computers that you give them, they're going to sell them and use them for drug money. So, you know, why would we do this? Lo and behold, that hasn't happened. We have a number of computers right now. We're in our 5th year. We have a number of computers that are 5 years old, that are out there, that we collect at the end of the year and put back out. Another concern, well, there's no way the children are going to use this in a home environment. They have friends, they have outside, they have play, they have all sorts of other things. And we're asking for 15 minutes a day. That's what we want, 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, so 75 minutes a week. Lo and behold, children are using it on average 50% more than we require them to use it. Now, one of the reasons they do that, well, they love it, they're playing, I mean, it's the standard thing that all of you would say about your software as well. But we have also built an entire structure around this. So we have weekly phone calls to parents. We have emails going out to parents. If something doesn't work, we get on the phone. If it still doesn't work, we send someone out. We go on site and we solve whatever the problem is so that there are no barriers in between using the program and the success that that would bring. So we have been doing this now for 5 years. We were very rejected by the early childhood community. Head Start, those that did have private preschools, many groups stood up and said this is wrong and tried to stop this. And one of the ways that they tried to stop it was they insisted that there be an external evaluator to prove that this doesn't work. And they knew that that's what would happen because nothing works for young children. We all know that. No one is getting sustained cognitive gains for young children. They're just not there. If you know of research, please send it to me because I don't see it. So they brought in this external evaluator. We just got our year 3 results. And we have kids entering kindergarten now and reading as if they're leaving kindergarten. And so that's all happening in the home. We have grandparents, now this is anecdotal, so I'll now depart from statistically driven results. But we have grandparents sitting down with their grandkids, or parents sitting with their kids and learning English right alongside with them. We have a great amount of investment from the parents. And importantly, we have parents who are now understanding that they need to advocate and work with the schooling of their children. It's not just, I dropped my kid off in kindergarten and now it's the school's problem. We're training them that, no, you need to stay involved. You need to be right there with your children. So one of the reasons I bring this up is the cost for this program is about $1,500 a child. Now most people will fall off their chair and say, but I can sell my app for 99 cents. I understand that. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a turnkey program that includes hardware, includes software, includes training, works with parents, does all of these things. It's very, very difficult to pull off. And in context, normal pre-K, according to Pew, is about $4,600 a kid in our country, so I'm about the third the cost of that. Head Start is about $9,000 per child, according to Pew, so I'm about 1/6 the cost of Head Start. When the subcommittee this past session heard of this Year 3 external report, they said, what would it cost to do this for everyone in Utah? So we ran it for about 80% of kids, because it's not going to be a mandatory program. And we came up with a dollar figure of about $650 a kid. So at that rate, I'd be about 1/15 of the cost of Head Start. But I can do this to kids anywhere. I have transparency, I have accountability, and I have actual results. And so I know we all love anecdotes, so I do have one thing, even though this is kind of an unplugged approach, I do need to read this letter that we got, and then I'll be done. To whom it may concern, this was actually from our year one, so this was from a number of years ago, but it told us we were on the right track. To whom it may concern, this is the first time I have ever written a letter to tell someone how their product changed my life. It is very important for me to impress upon all of you at Waterford how the program has done just that, changed a life. I have 3 children, Lola 11, Bella 5, and Dallas 3. It is difficult and emotional for me to relate the story of my son Dallas to you, but I must so you will understand the impact. When Dallas was 23 months old, he climbed into a swimming pool unsupervised and drowned. He was revived after CPR and hospitalized. I was told he was probably only clinically dead for less than 3 minutes. After some testing, we took him home with the knowledge that we may not be able to know the extent of any brain damage until it revealed itself throughout his growth. He did not, at the time of the drowning, have any language skills beyond 10 to 15 words. At 35 months old, he was tested and determined to be at a 12 to 18-month-old level. His entire language was unintelligible outside of family who could interpret 2-syllable sounds like ha-na, but not really understand unless he nodded his head to agree. He called both of his sisters wah-wah. He often had one word for several things. Dog and train were both called gina. If asked to repeat words, he was incapable and often became frustrated with our need to try. We gave up so as to not continue upsetting him. He was registered to begin his early prevention childhood program for special needs children in October. We set goals together that the counselors believed he could achieve within 1 to 5 years. At the same time of his testing, I was given the opportunity to receive the Upstart program for Bella. It was interesting and educational, and Bella loved singing the songs even when she wasn't on the computer. I soon found the whole house singing a new alphabet song. I noticed that Dallas couldn't tear himself away from the computer while she played. He would point to the screen when she would. He would nod his head if they asked questions. He would also answer the questions correctly by pointing. One day I heard him singing the alphabet song with his vowel sound language. I couldn't believe it. I sat down with him so he could play Rusty and Rosie on his own. Once started, Dallas could follow directions easily and interact completely. It was as if I wasn't even there. By September, less than a month, he had begun to put actual letters in the alphabet song and was repeating the letter on the screen 3 times. He even said "Pwe Wuthi Wothi," indicating his desire for me to turn on the computer. He entered the early childhood program and astonished his teacher. This was the same child who in late August had tested as a 12-month-old. By November, he had reached his 1-year goals. I was in tears. I explained the Waterford program to them, and they insisted I allow him to play it as frequently as he requests, and that's just what I do. He will not be tested again for a while, but I am certain he will advance beyond a 1-year-old. He now has so many words in his vocabulary that I couldn't count them. I received a note from his teacher that said she believed he might actually be recovered. I couldn't have hoped in my wildest dreams for this kind of miracle, but it has happened. I feel completely blessed for having the opportunity to have this program in my home. So, thank you.